So I'm working on the Wonder Woman van brace, and I have some score marks that I need to do. And I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to test out the Cos-Tools Straight Cutter because it has a depth adjustment on it, which I'm really excited to try out. Because while I have some awesome videos on how to help gauge your depth and things like that with doing score marks, this is going to be a little bit more precise, and it might help me be more constant and consistent on this. So we're going to give it a try, test this thing out, and see what we think of it. So here we go. So taking a look at this thing, one of the cool things I notice is that they have the ability to be able to store your blades just inside in the back here. So we'll just pull one out, put in here. I'll slide this back in. So it's a big long blade, so it looks like you'd be able to use one side and then flip it over and use the other side when that starts to dull or different things. And something really cool that they've made available here is whether you're right-handed or left-handed, you can attach the blade to either side of this. And it seems to be pretty ergonomic for going either direction, but that way you can see the blade that you're working with and have it be on the side of your eye line, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. So really good forethought that's gone into this little piece so far, from what I can tell. So I'm right-handed. I'm gonna pop this blade into this side here. So pretty easy to be able to pop that blade in and kind of lock it into place. So now it looks like the blade comes in right next to this piece there, so that gives you a good look at where your blade is going to be going. And I do like that you can see exactly where the blade is the whole time. I'm working with the 4mm What the Foam. Just as a general rule, you want to leave yourself 2mm, but I think I could get away with just doing 1mm or 2mm deep on this. So I'm looking at the depth here, and it's lining up right with the bottom. So I've got this thing cranked way down, so we'll need to adjust that a little bit. So that's given me a pretty good depth right there, and you can see just how much of the blade is sticking up right there. I think that's going to be pretty good for the project I want. So far, this is really cool, the way that they've set this up. So it looks like you can do, it's got kind of a spot for 2 fingers here to push with. And the nice thing is, so normally you'd want to put a foam core underneath, especially if you're cutting all the way through, so it doesn't destroy the blades as quickly on this little guy. But because I'm only cutting partially into the foam, I'm not worried about having the foam core underneath because I'm not actually going all the way through. All right, so I'm going to start with these nice little straight lines here to test that first before I try diving into these angles, kind of get a feel for it. Here we go. Cool, well that was quite nice. So I like that you can control when it goes into the foam with this little kind of spring-loaded thing. And not having it always down, because that way you can kind of get it in place and then push it down where you want to. I really like that. They've really thought out a lot of things with this. Alright, so we tested this thing with scoring, and it did awesome. Once I zeroed it in, it took a second to kind of zero in. So the scoring helped amazing though. I was able to score this piece up so much quicker without having to try to think about my depth and maintain that every time, and I can move a lot quicker knowing that this was kind of gauging that a little bit. So that was scoring. Let's do a couple straight cuts real quick. So I'm just going to do straight cut and see how that goes with just cutting all the way through the foam, what we get. So, and actually I did put this on a little bit of a curve. It's not a completely straight line, so this might be actually good to see. Look at that. I mean, so WTF, What the Foam, is going to cut a lot cleaner and everything already on its own, but that is a gorgeous, perfect 90-degree cut. I love that. So let's see now what happens when we have to kind of take a curve, not a curve, but a sharp angle. Anytime I'm doing sharp cornered angles, normally with the blade, I like to start in the corner first. And so let's do that. Okay, so I just started in the corner, plunged it down. Now I'm just going to drag straight through. Same thing again, so I want to find that exact mark I did on the other side to line it up with it. Plunge straight through, and then pull. All right. So yeah, that did pretty well, especially when you use that technique where you start in the corner first and get that lined up. So yeah, that worked really nice. I like that. Now let's just try on kind of a more swervy curve. Straight cut and see how that goes. So now a technique I use when I'm using my regular blade as well is I won't worry about moving my hand so much and actually kind of move the foam to match the curve that I need, kind of leaving the blade in one place as I come around the curve, and sometimes I'll do a combination of the two. So that's one thing that's really hard to get straight cuts on, is when you're having to kind of do a nice, a little weavy curve like that. But that performed phenomenally. That is pretty impressive. Cool. I like that. That is great. Nice, nice, nice. So one more thing I want to try is cutting something out from the inside of something, right? So let's say we have our piece here that we're going to have, and then we have, I'm going to do a bigger one just to kind of give it a chance here, this piece that we need to cut out from the inside, right? So let's go ahead and just give this scenario a try, right? So this is easy. We've done this. We cut along there. We cut along here. Now let's try to cut it out from the inside. Okay, so I'm going to start in the corner, press in, and pull through. Now this is where the tricky part is, because the blade is set at an angle, and because of kind of the guides and stuff, you can't really rock it up to kind of come right into that other corner. I mean, I can, but I'm worried I might like bend the plastic the wrong way. So I'm going to go to a certain point there and see if that gets it far enough for us. But I'm worried maybe once we cut into this corner, it'll get us there. Okay, so I didn't quite get into those corners all the way, but I come in with my razor blade and just follow those lines, those straight cuts that are already there. For the lines that we did do, they're like so straight and clean on that inside to where you could totally, you know, reuse this same piece. Those inside corners though were a little bit tricky just because of the form factor of having all this to keep it stable, which it needs to, you know, get a good clean cut. Just when you get to those little corners, you might need to come in with a X-Acto knife or something just to kind of bridge that last little gap. So that way you're not getting cuts that go into your foam piece, and when that gets heated up, that would open up and reveal that you cut that out with a blade kind of thing. So, but yeah, that did great. Okay, one more thing to try is the channel guide here, which is super awesome. This piece actually has little grooves here on the bottom that allow you either left-handed or right-handed to be able to snap that in, and then you can just pull right along a nice perfectly straight line. We just line it up, and I believe the blade cuts right along the metal. Line it up with your line, snap your cutter onto it, and pull right through. Awesome, that is great. All right, guys, this thing was really fun to play with. I think we put it through some good tests, and now let's go ahead and go through some pros and cons and give you guys my review. So, pros. This thing cuts really nice, straight, 90-degree cuts. It works for both scoring and cutting all the way through foam, all the way up to probably about 10 or 12 millimeter thickness, which is awesome. Another pro is that it has the attachment to be able to put it for right-handed or left-handed people, which is awesome, so that everyone's included and can easily use this. I like that the blades can store in the back so that you can easily keep them right there. Another pro is how easily the blade can come in and out so that you can actually hone it and keep it sharp. It's also reversible, so you can use each blade on both sides before you have to get rid of it. But if you're honing it up every so often, I think you can make it last for a really long time. I like that it has the adjustment here on the back. One major pro was on the straight cuts, how well it was able to do curves and turns. Another pro is this channel guide, which helped a ton with being able to get really perfect straight cuts and nice long straight lines when you need to have a good solid square piece. So this was super awesome. I love that this can just connect right into it and that they work together. You can also use this just as a ruler on its own as a guide to be able to cut along its metal, even just with your own regular blade or anything like that, or even to draw along. So this little addition is super handy and is a great pro with this as well. Cons, it took a little bit just to kind of zero it in. I don't know how accurate this gauge is on the bottom. It gives you a pretty good estimation, gets you pretty close, but there's some flex in the plastic and things like that that do make it a little bit harder to know for sure based on where you're putting pressure down and how deep it's actually going to go. But if you just try it on a separate piece of foam and zero it in as to the depth that you need before you do it on your real piece, then it's not really that big of an issue. One of the other cons was just that if you are cutting something out on the inside with inside corners, it is a little bit harder to get away with not having the blade cut into part of your foam in the corner. But if you just stop short of that and then you come in and just get those corners with just a dope knife, X-Acto blade type of thing, then that's easily solvable as well. All right, so we've gone through the pros and cons of this thing, and now it is time for me to give it the Apprentice Score. I will give this thing 5 out of 5. This thing is very awesome. There's only few minor things that it can't do, but it does everything else so well that this thing is awesome, and I will definitely be using this again. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about this or want to know where to get it. I'll link to it in the description. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe. We have craft traption reviews like this, tips and clips videos, and awesome full build videos as well. So stay tuned, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cosplay on, my friend. See ya.